Civil rights. When you hear that phrase, you know who's on the other side of the conversation. Digging into the world of financial literacy with CEO John Hope Bryant, Operation Hope CEO, right here at the NASDAQ market site. Hello everyone, this is Jabbar Young, senior writer here at Forbes, and I am joined at the NASDAQ market site with Mr. John Hope Bryant, joined by Mr. John Hope Bryant, the CEO of Operation Hope, and he is out with a new book, Financial Literacy for All. There it is. Go check that out. John, I don't have to say welcome to the NASDAQ because you've been here plenty of times before, man. So welcome back.
I've never been on your show. This is very cool.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate that. When we first spoke, it was through a monitor. Right now, we got you at the NASDAQ.
That's right. I remember I was in Hawaii when we did that.
Yeah.
And it's a little weird having you say all these nice things about me. Normally you're telling me off when we talk. Tell me I need to do better. And need to represent our people better.
Don't do that.
You know. So and I listen to you. That I have great respect. On a serious note, you're doing an incredible service to the nation.
Thank you.
Notice I didn't say black people. You're doing a service to the nation.
Thank you.
And the fact that you're highlighting excellence that happens to be black is also a service to the nation and makes black people proud. But you're not a black editor, you're a great editor that happens to be black. And Forbes is rightly so seeing this as an emerging market.
Yeah.
And it's not a handout, it's not charity. It's the right thing to do, but it also is doing well and doing good too.
Yeah.
It's good, smart business. I'm glad they see it, and I'm glad you're leading it.
I appreciate that, man. You almost was going to get me to cry, but I'm going to hold it in, man. But hey, listen, man, Financial Literacy Month definitely gets your opinion right now on that, man. What's the biggest thing you've learned about financial literacy in all your years navigating this world, John? And you got a new book out again, Financial Literacy for All,
Which,
so
by the way,
definitely going to get into that.
It's a bestseller this week.
Yeah, congratulations.
Number one in several categories, including economics globally on Amazon, number one, and been that way since pre-order. We're sitting in a moment in history.
Mm-hmm.
But history doesn't feel historic when you're sitting in it. It just feels like another day.
All right.
Financial literacy is the civil rights issue of this generation. We've gone from the streets and protesting to the business suites and partnering.
Mm-hmm.
The color was, in the first Reconstruction, white against black, with a background of blue oppressing, because back in those days, Democrats were actually the problem, oppressing what was then the red. Then it became the blue which sort of had the moral authority in the second Reconstruction, the Civil Rights Movement, and the red really taking up ridiculous positions and getting black and white to fight.
Yeah.
In both those situations, first Reconstruction and second, you had a black man who happened to be brilliant and enlightened, and black women, by the way, and a white man who was listening, smart enough to listen. Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass, Dr. King and Johnson, and Ambassador Young, Dr. Dorothy Height, and you could add a list of other folks, Bobby Kennedy and others who were smart enough to listen. We have a third Reconstruction. It was triggered with George Floyd's murder, 2020 to 2030. And the largest group of commitments made for social justice through an economic lens to African Americans in the history of this country, or any country, was 60 to 300 billion, depending on how you calculate it, dollars of commitments from corporate America, not from the government, from corporate America, which suggests this is a business case and not something else, which I believe it is. And while there's been challenges about how to execute on that and what things actually got run to the ground, the fact that commitments were made says something about us, about the nation, about where we are. And as you look at that figure, and then you look at the American where she is as a country right now, the largest economy in the world, the sole superpower in the world, and then you say there's never been a superpower that wasn't the economic power in the history of the world. And then you look at the status of our demographics. Half of this country is black and brown. Then you have women. And then you have poor whites. That's a supermajority. So you can't prosper in a country like this. The country can't prosper unless she helps the least of these God's children to come up from nothing. That's financial literacy. And then you look at the hard data, get out of the emotions of it and the philosophy of it. 70% of the largest economy in the world is consumer spending. 70% of Americans are living from paycheck to paycheck. Now, if somebody's not black looking at this, listening to this, I want them to pay attention now. Half of those making $100,000 a year are living from paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
A quarter of those making $250,000 a year are living from paycheck to paycheck. If you're living in Manhattan, the city we're in right now, and you make $100,000 a year, it feels like $39,000 a year. Now, if somebody white listening to this or watching this right now, they'd say amen. That's not a black amen, not a Latino amen, or an Asian amen, or even a white amen. It's the green amen. It's just
Green.
amen. So I think that all the pieces are just sort of coming together. Ambassador Young would say coincidence is God's way of remaining anonymous.
You always tell me that too. You always tell me that too.
Under different contexts. Typically, you and I are talking about something else, and I'm trying to get all that passion of yours to let the moment come alive.
Yeah. Well, that's why I love talking to you, man. And again, diving in, before getting into the book, let me just do one quick business update, right? Update on 1 million black businesses. Last time we spoke, over 330,000 jobs you added, part of the 130 million commitment. I check my spam folder every day now, so thank you. Any update on that, man? Are we closer to 400,000 now? Where are we at with that?
By the way, for those who are not aware, he says it's spam folder because I'd asked the founder of Shopify,
That's right.
Toby, to make a commitment to help me create 1 million black businesses in America after George Floyd's murder. And he said, send me a proposal. So I sent him something, a PowerPoint, and never let the perfect become the death of the good, by the way. I didn't wait for a perfect proposal. I just wrote something up and sent it to him. But I heard nothing in a week. And after a week, I sent him another note. Hey, look, Toby, thank you for considering this. It doesn't seem like you're interested. I didn't get a response. But thank you. And he said, what are you talking about? I said, yes. And I went looking in my computer, and it was in my spam folder. $130 million 10-year commitment stuck in my spam folder. Watch everybody look at your spam folder.
Yeah,
We've hit 415,000 black businesses
Good job.
since George Floyd's murder. So we're on track. That was 4 years in, so really 100,000. We're ahead of where I thought we'd be. I thought we would sort of come light. I thought the heat would be soft the first few years. I thought we would do like this, have to hustle the last few years. We're at literally 100,000 a year if you look at the cadence of this, which is quite inspiring about our hustle. It says a lot about our ambition and our desire to start businesses. Up until recently, it was a record that the largest group of business owners in America, startups, were black businesses coming out of the pandemic. Now it's Latinos, by the way, most the last couple of months. God bless them. And the largest group of all groups, I believe, are still black women. So we're not just doing businesses, Jabbar, we're doing e-commerce businesses. So you can have a restaurant and have an e-restaurant. Let me rephrase that. If you have a restaurant, you should have
E-restaurant.
an e-restaurant. If you have a barbershop or a hair salon, you should have an e-barbershop or a hair salon, and so on and so forth. When I'm flying in to New York last night and I want a shave or a haircut, the old school way, actually the current way most of us do, we call up.
Yeah, or text, yeah.
Yeah, but it's during the day.
Yep.
I mean, I came in at, I got here at 10 o'clock last night. Nobody's, wait, man, what you texting me this time of night? I'm in with my family. So, but we do that old school thing and the guy's like, hey man, I'm doing a cut right now. What time you want to come in? Let me check my book. That's 20th century. We should be able to go online. I should have to call you. Go online to Joe's Barbershop. First of all, search on the internet, on the computer, on the plane, local black barbershops. Comes up, go to the website, go to the scheduling app, put in my appointment for 9 in the morning before my interview. Here's my credit card. In case I don't show up, it's a cancellation fee. Gee, while I'm on the line, let me get myself a wave cap. In your case, a mustache.
No wave cap. No wave cap.
No, it's a beard brush.
No, not a wave cap though. I want the wave cap.
I think that that way the person's going to get an order is 3 or 4 times the value of that haircut. And by the way, you actually get my order because if you have to wait for me to call you. I get up in the morning, my day start, there's an 80% chance I'm gonna forget to call to get that haircut.
Yeah.
Whether I show up or not, there's income now. You build wealth in your sleep. What I'm really saying is you make money during the day, you build wealth in your sleep, and e-commerce is one of the ways that we have got to be part of the future. 96% of all black businesses don't have an employee and probably are not on technology.
Yeah, gotta change. Yeah, well, I can't wait till the day that you guys hit that 1 million mark, because then after that, we're gonna take it to 2 million. Black business, I'm sure, right? That's there we go. Financial literacy for all, disrupting struggle, advancing financial freedom, and building a new American, a middle class. This is about your 6th book?
It is my 6th book.
Sixth book, man, and up from nothing in 2020 still. Thank you for that phenomenal read. What made you author this book? And I know it's a part of a bigger initiative, right? The 2022, you guys announced that 10-year initiative, Financial Literacy for All. A lot of CEOs, heavy hitters you have on that board. But what made you author this book?
When they killed Dr. King, not comparing myself to Dr. King in any way, I'm just giving context for this. I do believe this is the 3rd Reconstruction. But when they killed Dr. King, they killed the dream. They killed the dreamer and they killed the dream because he was the manifestation. He was the voice, the movement, the messenger, the message, the organization. Too many of our leaders, the movement is wherever they are because it's an articulated vision of inspiration. Mm-hmm. I wanted to create plumbing.
What if you could do SEO smarter and faster? With Wix, you can edit your meta tags page by page or all in one go. Modify your URLs, inspect all of them in one click, and more. Save time, customize freely with SEO on Wix.
Does saving over $350,000 in potential taxes sound good to you in retirement? I'm going to show you how quickly we can get that done. So this is the couple that came to see us and they wanted to know, do I have enough? Can I retire? How do I pay less tax? After going through the situation, we hit the button. Turns out that they only have about a 65% probability of success. Our job is to get this number up way higher than 65% so we can get you retired. And most of the time that means overlaying a tax plan, creating a new income plan, changing how the investment portfolio is structured, and all of this together is what we call your retirement success plan. So when we look at the tax plan, if we continue down the conventional wisdom, it's an estimated $550,000 of taxes. But if we look at a recommended tax strategy to save that estimated $350,000, we get the taxes down to about $173,000 over the course of retirement. In addition to that, we have an estimated ending balance of about 2.5 versus 1.7. By implementing the tax plan, as well as adjusting when they plan on taking Social Security, as well as creating an actual income plan so they know when, where, and how much income to withdraw, as well as altering the portfolio to make sure the amount of risk in there and the expected growth is commensurate with their ability to stay in the markets. We do all that, and that's what we call the retirement success plan, and that gets them up to a 99% probability of success. To get started with your very own customized retirement success plan, click the link in the description below to schedule a visit with one of our advisors that has a fiduciary responsibility to put your interests first.
So, we don't have an infrastructure. Black America does not have an economic infrastructure. We've been trying to do this since the Freedmen's Bank, well, that was the vision of the Freedmen's Bank of 1865, bank chartered to teach free slaves about money. Lincoln was assassinated. Frederick Douglass tried to run it, as you know your history, maybe new for the audience. That was 1865. Mm-hmm. We're not dumb and we're not stupid. It's what we don't know that we don't know that's killing us, but we think we know. So that's why we're talking about, I'm gonna make that money, we get this dollar, we get this bag, we get this dollar. Or we get a $100 million contract and we end up working at Starbucks 5 years later after we go broke. Clearly it's not just about making money. Mm-hmm. You can get rich, that's not building wealth. You build wealth, as you know, in your sleep. So it just struck me, we don't have the infrastructure. I'm gonna say this something pretty radical. We need a black Jewish business plan. No matter how much somebody's discriminating against you or trying to keep you down, still you rise because you're owners. We're writing checks, not just cashing them. So to go from an access movement of a second reconstruction to a ownership movement of a third reconstruction, from the streets to the suites, you need a plan. You need piping, you need plumbing, you need a system, you need green offices. We have red offices, stopping discrimination, stopping bias, stopping racism. We're in the city of New York. I mean, Reverend Al Sharpton has done an incredible job of pushing back against bias, and NAACP and all these other organizations, which are invaluable. We need some green rooms, access to capital, access to internships, access to corporations, access to contracts. We need to grow the wealth, which is, I think, is the ultimate protection. Maybe the only true freedom is financial freedom. Every other one can be taken from you. So we need to go from a defensive mode to an offensive mode. There needs to be a business plan for that and a manual. And I said we didn't have the memo in my fourth book, I think it was. And up from nothing was, hey, I'm not gonna tell you about my successes, I'm gonna tell you about my failures. It was a personal testimony of me tripping, falling, and getting back up again, giving people inspiration, giving them the mindset, the 5 pillars of success, the mindset of what you can do to succeed. Mm-hmm. This is the rule book, the toolbox, the tool set, and the kitchen table instruments to allow you to actually have a robust and non-emotional conversation about any facet of what's going on in your personal life, your professional life, your relationship life, your relationship with money that no one ever tells you.
Yeah.
And we're ashamed to admit and discuss it. I mean, I say in there that, the average credit score for black folks is below 620. Just stop right there. Racism, bias, discrimination, police brutality, all horrible things, real. Mm-hmm. But it's quite possible when you wake up in the morning, your biggest problem is your credit score is 580.
Yeah. You
live at 61 years old. This is in the book. We have a HOPE credit score index. We've mapped every zip code in America by credit score. If you live in a 580 credit score neighborhood, you live at 61 years old. You move 15 minutes from there to a 700 credit score neighborhood, you live to 81 years old.
Yeah.
That's a 20-year delta. And Jabari, Social Security is at 65. So you work your whole life and you die before you get the benefits of Social Security. Forget everything else, but also in that 580 credit score neighborhood, you see, you've heard me say this, a check casher next to a payday loan lender, next to a rent-to-own store, next to a title lender, next to a liquor store, next to a pawn shop, church down the street, local therapists, try to make you feel a little bit better about your drama once a week so you don't go cray-cray or postal on somebody. My white friends have the same issue in poor white and rural America, but they're rioting at the ballot box. We riot in the streets. We're more emotional. We're both rioting. Neither one of us is going to lead anywhere. So home ownership rates in the dumps here. Violent crimes through the roof here, the 580 credit score neighborhood. You go to school until 65% of people have a high school education compared to 96% here. This is college, basically. Home ownership rate is 28 to 45% here. It's 75% here. Easiest way to build home ownership, build wealth is home ownership. So the data is so glaring. I mapped it out just so there would be no debate about it. So, okay, we love math because it doesn't have an opinion. Let's look at the data and the math and let that drive us. You love Malcolm X, I love Martin Luther King Jr. and Andrew Young. What did Malcolm X say? We've been bamboozled, we've been tricked, we've been fooled, right? I think the data sets you free. So the data, the index, then the business plan, whether it's home ownership, small business ownership, entrepreneurship, which is different than small business ownership, whether it's being a consumer citizen. Whatever your deal is, cool with me, but if you don't use your money's gonna use you. Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping that people remove the shame, replace it with a plan, begin to say, when they go out to the club tonight, not just you cute, you fine, you handsome, what's your credit score?
Yeah.
Because you're picking a business partner and not just a mate for life.
Yes, it's a business plan. Yeah, it's a business contract, what it is, right?
It's marriage, that's where it originally came from. It was not a romantic affair. It was a business. It was two families trying to figure out how they could protect assets and ownership and legacy and wealth. 2 + 2 was going to equal 6, 8, or 10. Only way place the math should not work is in a relationship. 2 plus 2 should equal 6, 8, or 10, or what are you doing? Jabari, what inspires me is the same thing that frustrates me. The problems in our community are so basic. If we just fix the basic stuff.
Skyrocket. Yeah.
Because when the rules are published and the playing field is level, we kill it. Professional sports. I know you love sports. The arts, politics, faith. Mm-hmm. We absolutely kill it.
Yeah. And even writing a book, right? Writing a book. Look at all the work that you put into this book, man. What would you tell that parent of a Gen Zer, right? Gen Alpha, the Alpha, Gen Alpha is on the rise, right? I mean, those are the generations that they come up with nothing but technology, computers, iPads, what have you. But Gen Z is the generation that this is where your next consumer is coming from, your way. What do you tell a parent of a Gen Zer about tips and tricks on how to improve maybe their teenagers' financial literacy, education overall?
If you, first of all, don't have a child as a child. If you are 18, 19, 20 years old, get as much education as you can shove down your throat. Well, it's the 5 pillars of success. As much education you can shove down your throat. Get 3 or 4 of these and you will be successful. Understand financial literacy, so get your financial literacy education so you're using the money's not using you. Because 96% of all our businesses don't have an employee and 92% of all of our $1.6 trillion of consumer spending is consumption. Number 3, family structure and resiliency. So don't have a child out of wedlock. If you do, there's no shame in that game, but it changes your life if you're a responsible parent. By the way, baby daddy, baby mama, knock all that stuff off. Kid don't want to hear it, I don't want to hear it, I don't even know what it means. You're a father or you're a mother. Be a parent, whether you're with a nuclear family or not. But if you can delay that process. Get your education, get your job, get your career, get your degree, get your pathway, then get married, then have a child in that order. So back to the 5 pillars: education, financial literacy, family structure and resiliency, self-esteem and confidence. So tell that kid, I love you, every day.
Yep.
And when they make a mistake, say, I'm angry at you, you future lawyer. I'm upset with you, you future entrepreneur. Yes, hold them accountable, but speak to their inspiration, their aspiration. Let them know they're always loved. One thing that you and I have is self-esteem. If I don't like me, I'm not going to like you. This is the biggest problem in Black America. It's low self-esteem. Yeah. Somebody's watching this right now, can't help themselves. Who's he think he is? See, that's not. Got nothing. Somebody watching this just had to catch themselves. It's unconscious. It's self-hate. It's lack of self. Because you don't know me. Why wouldn't you just be clapping? Oh, whatever he's doing, that's great. It's a signal for what I can do. Fantastic. Why would there be any hint of negativity? But if I have low self-esteem, hurt people. So if I don't like me, I'm not going to like you. Yeah. If I don't feel good about me, I'm not going to feel good about you. If I don't love me, I don't have a clue how to love you. Yeah. And if I don't have a purpose in my life, I'll make your life a living hell. Yeah. So we tend to have low self-esteem and high confidence because we've succeeded against all odds in the biggest market economy in the world. My African brothers and sisters, my Caribbean brothers and sisters, tend to have high self-esteem and lower levels of confidence. Another conversation for another day. So we almost need to trade on each other. They need more confidence to succeed in the market economy. We need more higher self-esteem. So we love each other and have the right priorities. Otherwise, your assets are going to be on your...
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
So, and the 4th piece is role models and environment. Kids need to be, young men need to be modeling you, booted and suited, and dressed for success, because we model what we
see.
Right. So those, any 3 or 4 of those. Now you want to say, John, details. Okay. If your outflow exceeds your inflow, your overhead should be your downfall. If you have a kid, make sure there's an account at kindergarten, because a kid at kindergarten will be 50% more likely to go to college and 75% more likely to graduate with $25 in the account.
When you say account, a savings account.
Yeah, a simple savings account. We do that at Atlanta Public Schools for Mayor Andre Dickens. For every kid in Atlanta Public Schools, they have a Hope Kids account. Track your credit score. at an early age. When I go to the airport, TSA agents are screaming at me, "Yo, John, 671." It should become a new norm. Tell them to be obsessed about buying a home as early as reasonably possible, because the tax code is designed around to support
Home buyers. Yeah.
home ownership. And you get your money back in a tax refund because most of those payments are going to be tax deductible for 20 or 30 years of a mortgage. Brother said to me, "Oh man, I don't want to own no home. Bank owns a home. If you don't pay." So yeah, knock off the silliness and create a business plan that's really basic for success, and take 10% of every paycheck, put it into an account on your own. If you're working for a major company, take that 401k program. It's free money. Max it out. If you're making less than $60,000 a year, get the earned income tax credit. It's free money. It's a credit for working. The government takes back $20 billion a year because people, read us, don't ask for earned income tax credit. You're making $38,000 a year. You have 3 children. The government owes you
Money.
$6,500 a year. It's retroactive, Jabari, for 3 years. If you never ever filed for it, that's almost 20 grand. Now, somebody watching this, if you make $38,000 a year, $40,000 a year, Jabari and Forbes just got you a check. Go to Operation Hope, and we'll commend your tax return for free. One of our coaches and counselors. So those are some basic things. Don't be emotional about decision making. Think 3 times, act once.
Yeah.
But love yourself. I mean, if you love yourself, one thing I absolutely adore about you, other than the fact that you're a great father, is you've made smart sexy, and you have high self-esteem. Somebody told you they loved you, and you believed it. You look at me straight in my eye right now. Most people have to look away. That's self-esteem. And you're not tripping on, you're saluting my success because you're comfortable with your own. You're reasonably comfortable in your own skin. These are basic things that we missed. That other people tried to make sure that we did not secure. And we gotta heal ourselves. Healing.
Absolutely.
Healing, because a lot of us are depressed. Yeah. Real talk. We're walking around clinically undiagnosed, depressed.
Yeah. Get you out of here, man. Some macroeconomic stuff, man. But before I jump into that, one final thing I wanted to ask you. I've never asked you this question before, man. How do you run an effective nonprofit? Right here is Operation Hope. You guys filed your annual report, $71.6 million, right, in revenue. Up from $50 million in last year. And I was thinking, right, and I'm saying, man, you went from 25 to 50 to 71.6 million in revenue and support. And I'm like, man, somebody loves John Hope Bryant, man, because they continue to. What does it take to run an effective nonprofit? Because I get pissed on nonprofits all the time. I don't know which ones are real from the fake, which ones are in it, or what does it take to run an effective nonprofit? Man, this could have been the whole interview right here. No, you just said something. No one's ever asked me the question. Keep your hand on the cookie jar. It's not yours. I founded it. I'm the chairman and CEO, and as long as I continue to responsibly run it, I guess I control it. But a 501c3 nonprofit, please now, everybody, this will be the outtake that everybody should really obsess on. A 501c3 nonprofit is a corporation like any other corporation. I'm gonna do this on my podcast for Money and Wealth with Charlamagne in the coming weeks. I'm gonna break down every kind of corporation, every type of company, LLC, C Corp, B Corp. I'm gonna break all of them down. But people think that a nonprofit is a different entity. It is the same corporate entity as any other. It just has, in addition to that, a tax-exempt status. So first of all, it's a corporation. When you own a corporation, you're the shareholder. When you get the tax-exempt status and people can donate and write off the contribution, that means that you don't own the company anymore, the public does. So I have some very clear policies for when I run Operation Hope. I can give to Hope, I can benefit to Hope, but Hope cannot benefit me. Don't do anything, I say to my office, you don't see on the front page of the New York Times in 5 years. Don't put me in a limousine by accident at the airport. Don't book me in a 5-star hotel. I'll book in a 3 or 4-star, I'll upgrade myself. Don't put me in the first-class plane ticket, I'll buy coach and upgrade. There are some basic things that optically are just not cool, but also structurally you just shouldn't be doing. Have proper books and records, preferably audited financial statements. It's okay to have a for-profit and a nonprofit. They have to have Chinese walls.
separating those entities. I have different staff of 400 employees. I have different staff for I have Promise Homes Company in the same building. Promise Homes Company on the 25th floor, Bryant Group Ventures, and Operation Hope on the 38th floor. Same building, different leases, different financial statements, different audited financial statements, even though I'm the same guy. I mean, run it like you're paranoid. You can't be the church with the pastor in the old world and the ground lease underneath the church, and the church is paying you rent and paying you, all that stuff. You're going to go to jail. Please understand.
They will catch you.
They will catch you, and you're going to jail, and your life will be ruined. Don't take the shortcuts.
No.
Do it right. So why do people wire me millions and millions of dollars? I'm honest. And I run it like a business, 87 cents, Charity Navigator, that's like a donut in Branch Street for Wall Street, gave us a 4-star rating. That's like a AAA bond rating for the last 8 years. 87 cents of every dollar goes right to the bottom line to help people with programs. That means there's 13 cents left over for useless things like me in what's called administration. So the numbers have to be right. Now, in addition to the $70 million in budget, which was up from $16 million in the late teens, so 2018, 2019, then went to $25 million during George Floyd, and $25 million, $50 million, now $70 million. But there's $4.5 billion in investment from Operation Hope's partners into underserved neighborhoods, 300 offices, the largest organization in the country for delivery of financial coaching. And we're raising credit scores 54 points in 6 months, results and outcomes, lowering debt $3,800, increasing savings $2,200 for the average person making $48,000 a year, getting the bank out of the no business and back into the yes business, solving problems for employers, solving problems for communities. So we have a product, we have a deliverable, we have an annual meeting, which you come to the Hope Global Forum, which is our annual meeting, our shareholder meeting, where we have to present ourselves to the public to show them what we're doing with their money. Because it's all transparent, including my salary, including what whatever we do, it's the people's business. It's all right there. And so as long as you operate that way, I think I'm the largest minority black founded nonprofit and run today in the country. There are people, CEOs who are black who run bigger organizations than I do. But black, certainly male founded and run nonprofit. I believe I'm the largest today. Been doing it for 32 years. So we are a magnet for folks who want to do well and do good and safe. We know, it's amazing. They wire money to me. They just trust that we're going to do the right thing, and we will.
Yeah. And you said keep your hand out of the cookie jar. That's the lesson. Keep your hand out of there, man. Thank you for all the time, man. Some rapid reaction stuff right fast, and I always respect your opinion on these type of things. We talk about financial literacy. Well, the credit too, right? Perfect segue for this. U.S. consumer credit score. We talked about this, and we smiled at it, but they dropped in 2023. Now you're coming off of U.S. consumers owe $1.1 trillion in credit card companies, according to the New York Federal Reserve Bank of New York. When you hear those numbers, right, credit scores drop. We still have a spending problem because we owe $1.1 trillion in credit as of February. What's the problem? What's going on? What's going on in your mind when you hear those numbers?
Well, look, we came out of the worst pandemic in 125 years in the world. The Spanish flu was the last time we had a pandemic in the world, and we had COVID, which, that was the first time ever that the government issued $1 trillion or something with a T in front of it for stimulus. The economy was shut down for 2 years. There was a supply and demand problem. Coming out of that, you're going to have a crap show. It's going to be a mess. I'm actually surprised we're doing as well as we are. I think the president and the administration, and I've served Republican and Democratic presidents. I'm not pitching for any. I'm just saying the way I see it. They've done an incredible job of managing. The fact that we're talking about whether inflation is 2 or 3% versus 13 or 15%, which is where it is in many places in the world, we're the fastest growing economy on the planet. So consumers got stimulus money, real talk. Folks got PPP. Many people shouldn't have, including Pookie and them. And they thought that because they were financially illiterate, they thought that they were rich, or that money was flowing like milk and honey, and their spending increased to their income, their temporary income level. Income went down, spending continued, and that's essentially They bifurcated that with credit cards because people think credit cards are money, and it isn't.
It's credit.
And by the way, I've been there. I was homeless.
Yeah.
You know, I've had a credit score of 500. I'm not jacking anybody up, but this is a living history lesson, and we're living through history.
Right. But you're happy with when you hear those numbers. You don't think that it's bad or is as bad as maybe framed.
No, $1 trillion plus of credit card debt is a big problem. I'm actually really concerned about. With us, I'm concerned about auto loans because that's ability to actually floss, right? And if you got a Mercedes with an 18% interest rate, that's not a Mercedes, it's Mercedes payments. Mm-hmm. And we tend to go to an auto dealership and ask what's the payment
instead of what the interest.
And what's the interest rate? You never ask anything above $1,000. You better ask what the interest rate is before you ask what the payment is. And we're buying cars at forget $20,000 when you and I were coming up. It was $5,000, $10,000, $20,000. We're buying cars, $80,000, $150,000, and the interest rate's 12, 15%. That's a mobile bomb. I think that's going to implode on many people. They're being paymentized. Mm-hmm. People are financing sports tickets. They're financing rental car.
Yeah, buy now, pay later.
That's when your life becomes paymentized. You're a sharecropper. Yeah. What Andrew Young said, to live in a system of free enterprise and not to understand the rules of free enterprise, maybe the very definition of slavery. So, but I do believe that rainbows only follow storms. So thus, now the pain and the problems, and no one's giving you another stimulus check, now you may have to solve it. Well, financial literacy for all is the thing people go, okay, now I need to get my money straight. I need to get my head straight. One thing I love, Jabari, about this generation, young people, they're like, how does this stuff work? Okay, I flossed. Okay, I look good and did my...
How does it work?
I need to know how it works now. That's what gives me inspiration. So, yes, it's some challenging things, but let me just drop the mic with this. There's never been a nation that's grown without good debt. There's never been a billionaire that was created without good debt. Debt's not bad. It's bad debt that's bad. Financing jewelry, financing car tickets, this crap's things that go down in value. Things that go up in value, appreciation of home or stocks and all that kind of stuff. That if businesses, if you can apply good debt to that, okay, now I'm sort of rooting for you.
Yeah.
We don't have capital. We don't have inherited money. Some of us use credit cards to finance a business. So I can't. It's sort of a mixed bag. What's the source of those credit cards, right?
Yeah. Good, bad versus good debt versus bad debt. I know you always preach that. I'll get you out of here on this, man. I usually do good to great, but because it's a U.S. presidential year and a race, interesting poll came out in the Wall Street Journal and it found that President Biden losing support amongst black men. 30% were leaning towards voting Republican this year. And the poll also found that 11% of black women said that they were either definitely or probably going to vote the Republican way, right? What is your advice to black voters as we navigate the U.S. presidential year without choosing sides also as a CEO? What concerns you and what do you want to hear from the candidates?
The Bible says with a house divided cannot stand. This is real simple. Look at who's dividing you, and that's their business plan. And look at who's saying we're better together. Now, and also, were you actually better off 6 years ago? Were you better off 4 years ago? Are you better off now? Have you been doing pretty okay the last 4 years? I mean, we came out of a pandemic. I mean, how are you doing? The economy actually is pretty strong. People complaining about interest rates. You know, my daddy and my mama dealt with 15, 18% interest rates. 5% is actually not so bad. The current president, Biden, is not a great marketer. Let's just call it what it is. You know, black people, we're emotional. Like, we want to feel it. Yeah, I was listening to Bishop T.D. Jakes, who I love, and when he was giving, he gave a left brain sort of financial literacy lesson. People were like, then he said, okay, I'm glad you heard me. Then he slipped into preacher mode.
Yeah,
oh my God, people went wild. The same audience. Yeah. I'm sitting there watching this going, this is fascinating, right? Me and my wife were just checking it out. So, we're an emotional people. We want to feel you. He doesn't have that Bill Clinton, Obama energy, but that doesn't mean that the business plan is not right. And so I think that we have no choice, in my opinion, You got the president and you got a malignant narcissist who literally is calling you out, literally disrespecting you, and literally trying to divide you, and literally telling you he doesn't care about you. To me, it's just not even difficult. Is Biden older than I'd like? Yes. I mean, but he's not past his sell-through date. And the basic bones of the economy and his business plan is working, and maybe it's because he has a sister next to him, I don't know. But I just think that we're not feeling it.
Yeah.
And I get that. But 3 days before the election, it'll be like, yeah, I can't do that. It'll be just that simple.
Yeah.
It'll be 3 days before the election.
Yeah.
No, I can't. I can't do that. So I don't think this is going to be. It's going to be tight, and I don't want people. Nobody can afford to sit at home.
No.
But I do believe that is going to become pretty obvious to everybody. And black men, black men may not think the government's ever done anything for them, and they may not be paying a lot of attention to the insults and all that stuff, and they see what they think is a businessman and go, well, at least I can make some money. That kind of that machismo thing. But he's not actually a great businessman, in my opinion.
Yeah. And you're sitting in a very city who might agree with you in New York. They might. John, we can go on for hours, man, talking financial literacy, talking geopolitics, talking U.S. presidential race, man. I appreciate all the time. Financial literacy for all, disrupting struggle, advancing financial freedom, and building a new American middle class. Make sure you all go check that out, John. Appreciate
Civil
it.
rights issue of this generation.
That's right. Not silver,
and
silver.
Civil rights. You gotta say it slowly. From civil rights to silver rights. Right.
Yeah.
By the way, come see Jabari in Atlanta, the ATL for the
Absolutely. Second annual Forbes BLK Summit.
Right, BLK
That's right.
Summit.
At June
In the
24th.
moral capital of America. Atlanta.
Appreciate all the time. John Hope Bryant here at the NASDAQ Market Site Financial Literacy Month. We could not let the month escape without talking to this man. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.
Pain hits fast, so get relief fast. Only Tylenol Rapid Release Gels have laser-drilled holes. They release medicine fast for fast pain relief. And now, get max strength topical pain relief precisely where you need it with new Tylenol Precise.
All right, John, so Global Hope Global Forum over. This was a totally different experience than the previous 7. Didn't have it last year. And
Whether it's virtual, it's all virtual.
it was virtual, all virtual last year, but this year it was a hybrid. So, your thoughts?
Well, I think from the feedback I've gotten, I think it was spectacular for the audience, and which is what it's all about, to inspire people. It was a different model. We with COVID and the Delta variant coming out, we didn't want to take any chances with anybody's health. Yours, Ambassador Andrew Young's, the last living senior lieutenant to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., 89 years young. No, doesn't want to take any chances with. I'd be devastated if I did something to impair his health, you know. And he had billionaires next to millionaires, next to thousandaires, next to somebody trying to buy some air. I mean, it was every white, black, red, blue, CEOs of the biggest companies in the world. 90% of these speakers decided to come in personally. We gave them a choice between virtual or in person, and to my utter amazement, they said they wanted to show up. And the few who didn't show up, it was a scheduling conflict. Even Reggie Jackson was trying until late last night trying to get here. So I think that given that we went from all virtual in a few months in 2020 to we were going to do the meeting mostly in person, then Delta variant hit, we moved back to mostly virtual. We thought it would be 20% in person and 80% virtual. And it actually flipped, at least on the speaker side, to 80 to 90% in person. The rest was virtual. We then had to make a decision about the audience, about the delegates. We've had 5,000 plus delegates before. We decided to crunch that down, shrink that down to 400. Actually, it was 300. And we actually ended up accepting 800 RSVPs because everybody was somebody or at least they thought we couldn't say no to them. We don't argue over somebody else's importance. You want to be here, we want you here. And it worked out beautifully. It wasn't too crowded, enough for warmth. We talked about this. But we had these labels. I think it was green for you can hug me or shake my hand. It was yellow for fist kick or elbow or.
And red was stay the hell back.
Red was I'm good.
Right.
Stay.
Just wave.
Way
just
over
wave.
there and wave. And it just really, people respected everybody's distance. It was really quite beautiful. 3 days of magic in a bottle.
I had someone post. We've been live for all 3 days.
An honor to have you here, by the way.
Always glad to be here.
Yeah.
Brother posted. He said, what does this do? He said, what's the value? What comes out of this? What answer that question? What is the value?
The value is the young brother who walked up to me on my way to this interview who said, this just changed my life. He said, I didn't think that anybody thought like me. I thought I was out here in the wilderness all by myself, trying to be an entrepreneur, trying to be a black man in technology, trying to own a business, trying to create jobs in my community, thinking that social justice could be achieved economically. But I'm thinking I'm by myself. He came from Birmingham, Alabama, at the recommendation of somebody else. He created a $2 million startup in tech. Even though he raised $2 million as a young black man, he clearly, as I looked in his eyes, had what it took to succeed. He felt like he was all alone. He said today, being here the last 3 days, completely transformed his confidence, his belief in himself, his self-esteem. We're not islands. We are interconnected. We're not human beings having a spiritual experience. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. Energy matters. We just talked about energy off camera. Giving people permission to dream. Where you and I were growing up, capitalism was a dirty word. You go to church, making money was a dirty word. What we are learning is money's not evil, it's the love of money that's evil. What we're learning is that capitalism is not bad, it's bad capitalism, like slavery, which was bad capitalism. That's evil. And it's good to see 3 days of consistency. Black, white, up, rich, poor, you don't know what political party they're from, everybody's saying the same thing. And they're saying what they're doing. So this is not some kumbaya party. $100 million committed by Twitter. That's gone to black banks. Well, that's material. The profits from that created 5 Hope Inside locations of Operation Hope inside of black banks. That's material. SunTrust CEO showing up, Truist CEO, formerly SunTrust, Bill Rogers today, announcing we're going to be in 1,000 Truist branches for Hope Inside. That's unbelievable. They only have 2,000 branches. Not only, they have 2,000 branches, making us 50% of all branches. When you create these events, you create a timeline. You create a deadline. You create a sense of expectation that, okay, I need to do something by that date,
Right.
because I'm going to be held publicly accountable. We call this an annual meeting for the people. Mm-hmm. And because Operation Hope is owned by the people, because we're a nonprofit, the public has a right to know what we're doing with their money that is invested in Operation Hope. They also have a right to know what's going on with these corporations and the government. This is a public accounting. And there was one commitment made today by Airbnb's co-founder to help to bring in, I think it's 20,000 Afghan refugees, to put them in Airbnb homes. Operation Hope is going to help him with that. There was a commitment made, T.D. Jakes reported out on what he's doing in Atlanta to bring, he's developer here in Atlanta, Bishop T.D. Jakes, right next to Tyler Perry's studio. Unbelievable what he's going to be doing on those acreage right next to the military facility that Tyler Perry took over. I'm just thinking about all of the people who came here. Tony Ressler, Atlanta Hawks, talking about what they're doing to give blacks into the pipeline through the HBCUs. So this is not a talk fest. This is not a brag fest. This is a do fest. And it's about holding folks publicly accountable, but also celebrating those who succeed.
See, I think the biggest.
And we raised 50 grand of venture capital for a new black inventor on a pitch event 2 nights ago, right off the floor. Actually, we raised $150,000 for it. I started it with 50,000, 100,000 joined her.
See, the thing for me when we talk about accountability, we've dealt with all of these big announcements in the post-death of George Floyd.
Yep.
And I've had these meetings with people who have made these announcements and commitments to black-owned media. And what I've said in my conversations to them is, I'm not praising you for press releases. When you actually do it, is when I praise you. And I was talking to the CMO of General Motors and their whole advertising team, Carrot, Dentsu, and I said, let me just be clear. I said, because I think one of the things that we have done as African Americans, we have praised folks for small things that made us feel good. Oh, this one brother, one sister got a point. Okay, but which is great, it's appreciated. But how are you changing it for a multitude of people?
Yep.
And I think that's the thing that for a lot of people they hate the accountability part.
Yep.
But it's necessary because otherwise it's just announcement after announcement, but it's not tangible and real for the people who are most impacted.
Walmart, to that point, Walmart CEO announced their average employee pay now is $18 an hour and going up. B of A announced that they went from I don't know where it was, but it's $20 an hour for every employee, including the part-time tellers. Now, Roland, they're going $1 a day per year for 5 years. Get the average employee paid to $25 an hour. That's material.
Right.
I mean, everybody in that ballroom didn't have a job, or who has a cousin boo-boo should have been running out the door trying to get a job at Bank of America.
Right.
At $25 an hour, that's real money. What I love about this is everything's trackable. Like, you don't need to take my word for it. Go look for yourself and see what they're doing.
Right.
Also, I've got 4 million clients. So I'm not in the conference business. Like, I'm not in the convention business or the forum business. I'm in the transformation of life business and the scale impact business and maximizing human potential. All this is a annual accounting of what we've been doing all year round. So it makes us a little different than most organizations. You have a motivational speaking group, and that's what they do. You have an operating nonprofit, and that's what they do. We are a bit of a blend. We operate on the ground, 180 locations in 30 states. as you know, raised credit scores 54 points in 6 months, 120 points in 24 months. Nothing changes your life more than God or love than moving your credit score 120 points. Half of black folks have a credit score below 640, which means half of us are locked out of the free enterprise system. You can be the nicest person on the planet, go to church every Sunday, be gracious and kind. Still can't get a loan to start a small business because that requires a 700 credit score because it's risky credit. Can't get a good mortgage with a good interest rate because that's a 680 credit score. Can't get a decent car loan. That's a 650 credit score. But we don't know what we don't know. It's what we don't know that we don't know that's killing us, but we think we know. We had a debate on it was on Twitter and then on your show about whether there's any benefit to home ownership. What are you talking about? I mean, the bank owns a loan. No, you own the home. You own the home until you default. If you default, then the bank owns the home. But by the way, if you borrow the money from me, I own your home. So that's not a miracle. But if you own the home and you understand financial literacy, which is what we're teaching in these Hope Inside locations, you own the appreciation, you own the depreciation, and you get a write-off of every mortgage payment for 20 of the 30 years because most mortgages are interest payments, which means that's the best way to get wealthy in America is owning a home, but only 41% of us are owning a home. So this work on the ground, we created $3.5 billion of homeowners and small business owners at Operation Hope before we even showed up at a forum. So I could get a little defensive or cocky about, it's not my nature, it's not my style, but about a statement of, gee, is this important? I'd rather reframe it and say, when you got the power, you don't need to use it. I've got nothing to prove. We prove all that we do every day of our work. This is about you. This is about you. This is about all of you and giving you access to what I already have.
But see, here's why I get the question, why I have no problem even answering the question.
Oh, I love it.
Because
I love constructive
Because it's not even, to me, it's not even constructive criticism. What it simply is, to your point earlier, when you don't know, you don't know. Because part of the problem is that I dare say 90-95% of the conferences and the gatherings are talk fest.
Well,
and as somebody who's moderated
Right.
a lot of these conversations,
Right.
I'll go on these panels and I will go, okay, we were here last year.
Where's the meat?
What the hell changed?
Right.
Why are we having the same conversation that this year that we had last year? And in fact, I do sessions now where I say at the outset, okay, we're gonna spend, if it's an hour, we about to spend 10 minutes on the problem.
Right.
And the other 50 minutes on the solution,
That's right.
as opposed to normally what happens is 50 minutes on the problem.
Admiring the problem.
And it's this, it's that, we can't do this, we can't do that. And then it's 10 minutes left, and now you're trying to hurry up to get all 5 panelists laying out what the solutions are. Because for me, that doesn't help anybody. To me, you should walk away from a conference
Yep.
and be able to implement something short-term immediately.
Do you know why we do that, Roland? There's a reason why.
I chose Wix for my business because of its massive scope for functionality and freedom of creation. Being able to integrate and change and develop at my own pace. I offer a range of products and services. To manage it all from one place is essential. It gave me time back in my day to get going on actual projects. It really just made everything feel more achievable.
We mean well. Our people we've been doing so much with so little for so long, we can almost do anything with nothing. We are an incredible people. When the rules are published and the playing field is level, we kill it. Professional sports, the arts. I mean, we even kill it in tennis, golf, F1 racing, NASCAR, places we've never even showed up. This capitalism and free enterprise thing, which is the whole game, it's what we don't know that we don't know.
Right.
And versus acknowledging and admitting, I'm clueless here, I need some help, because God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we listen twice as much as we talk, we fake it. And or worse, we specialize in the thing that we can actually control, which is the problem. The problem narrative is easy. It's easy to be a critic, right? So and here's worse. there's three mentalities, to put this in my book, Up From Nothing. A surviving mentality, a thriving mentality, and a winning mentality. Now, anybody looks at you, sees a winner. You knew you were a winner, knew they were a winner before they ever won anything. A winner knew they were a winner before they ever won anything. And a winner is a builder. You built a company. You built an infrastructure. You built a system. You built a portfolio. You're building your life. You built a brand up from nothing. And you're infecting everybody. I walked in your studio, and everybody's got the same building ethos, the same sense of humor, the same energy, the same sense of love as you do. You're building a character and a culture. The opposite is also true. You hang around 9 broke people, you'll be the 10th. So builders, winners are builders. Then the thriving, that's the middle class. Those are getting people. Get me a promotion. Get me access to a country club. Get me a vacation. Get me right to vote. That's the majority of America. The third group is the problem.
Mm-hmm.
The third group are the folks with a surviving mentality in a thriving world.
We talk about who are spectators.
Who are spectators, who are experts at what they are against, not an expert at what they're for. And so now you're admiring the problem because that's what you understand. Mm-hmm. And when you go into a barbershop in a 700 credit score neighborhood, black or white, they're talking about their ideas and they're talking about how they're going to move on those things. You go to a barbershop in a 500 credit score, equal brilliance, but bad culture, they're talking about other people. You go to a winner's barbershop, here's what I'm doing. You go to the barbershop of where people feel defeated, they talk about other people, either celebrities or people they admire, but also often, I don't like Joe. I don't like Roland Martin. Well, let me tell you something. I don't understand people. How would you not like anything here you see? You should just be like, this is amazing. It's cool. You may not even like how he does it or how I do it, but it's like, you know what? They're succeeding. They're killing it. All you should be is, that's fantastic. But if I don't like me, I'm not going to like you. If I don't feel good about me, it's hard for me to feel good about you. If I don't respect me, don't expect me to respect you. If I don't love me, I don't have a clue how to love you. And here's the big one. If I don't have a purpose in my life, I'm going to make your life a living hell.
And see, I think what drives...
So this becomes a marketplace of despair, fear, defeatism, and versus of challenging that and adding solutions, which feels weird to our community.
Right.
We rather just, when you run out of town, get in front of the crowd, make like a parade, just add fuel to that fire. Yeah, you upset the white man. Yeah, this is horrible. Yeah, racism is like rain. It's either falling someplace or it's gathering. Get on an umbrella and start walking through it because it's not going to change, so you must. But that's a harder thing to say.
I'm Faraji Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation, you and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
The thing that's what I sort of walk people through who don't understand the level of conversation. One, what drives them crazy is when I say, I don't give a shit what you think.
Right.
It absolutely drives them crazy.
Right.
Because they're like, well, you responded, which means you do. I'm like, no, actually, I'm telling you I don't, because I actually don't. Right. Because I'm not about to...
No, you care about the people, but you're not
right.
obsessed with how they feel about you.
Right. So I'm like, because my whole deal is okay. Again, there's so many people who get caught up in it, but also the thing that drives me crazy, because you talk about the need for Black America to have a reboot, software upgrade. I say we be reprogrammed. Right. Like I had to even tell my followers. I said when I post something on my page about X company, what they spend, and how we get 0.5% of it.
Right.
I said, I'll see 10, 11 comments. I said, but I'll post about something that's absolutely bullshit.
Right.
I said, and it's 300, 400, 500.
That's right.
And so-
2,000 comments.
And so I would tell them, I would say, so y'all, this over here can get us as black people $1 billion. This over here is a TV show.
That's right.
I said, now,
But we specialize in drama.
right. And I just said,
Drama don't pay a mortgage, don't pay a car note, don't send your kid to college, but we love.
and I said, and I mean, y'all don't understand, when I post over here about X company, if you took the 400 to 500 or 1,000 comments that are over here and applied it over here, I said, oh, they're gonna be real jumpy. I said, what you don't understand is when you only see 8 to 10 comments, they go, oh, we fine,
That's right.
we good. I said, but that could be $1 billion. I said, this gets us nothing. And I'm fine with just, we all watch stuff that just takes our mind off of stuff. I said, but we can't, everything we do can't take our mind off of stuff. I said, because maybe our minds need to be on some
Amen.
stuff. It just has to be then discussed and dealt with in a different
That's
way.
what Bishop T.D. Jakes said at our forum this week, and that's what Ambassador Andrew Young has said. The next movement has to be from the neck up, not the hands down, the neck up. We got to think our way out of this problem. You know, you make money during the day, you build wealth in your sleep. You make money during the day, you build wealth in your sleep. Wealth is a mindset. It's about compounding. You can't build wealth without compounding. You can't compound unless you understand how capitalism and free enterprise works. People want to say, I want to get this money, I want to get paid, I want to get this dollar, I want to get this, I want to get. You know, that means nothing. You can go broke tomorrow. But in fact, 70% of those who win the lottery bankrupt in 5 years. 70% of those who are in the NBA and the NFL bankrupt in 5 years after retirement. Money has velocity. It will come in your hands and through your hands. And a fool and his money is soon departed. The question is, do you have a wealth mindset? My mother worked an hourly job. She's here, worked an hourly job, but bought and sold 7 homes, is financially independent, has a credit score of 854, which means she's not black, she's green. My mother had a wealth mindset, even though she had an hourly wage. So we've got to get our minds right. And in some ways, this is Malcolm X all over again. He said, we've been bamboozled, we've been tricked, we've been fooled. It's Andrew Young who said, we integrated the lunch counter, him and Dr. King, but we didn't integrate the money. And he said to live in a system of free enterprise, Roland, and not to understand the rules of free enterprise, which is mindset, must be the very definition of slavery. I'll slow that down. Say it again for those in the back of the room. To live in a system of free enterprise. This is modern day slavery now. And not to understand the rules of free enterprise must be the very definition of slavery. So if you look about our neighborhoods, think about where George Floyd was murdered. 500 credit score neighborhood. Here's what you see. Check casher, next to a payday loan lender, next to a rent-to-own store, next to a liquor store, next to a pawn shop. I mean, this narrative is in every community across this country. Don't we see some pattern here? So mindset is everything. And in some ways, the bad people who mean us harm have won.
Yeah.
In this regard.
And that's why when I tell folk, and Pastor John P. King, gospel singer, sent me, he said, man, do these people know you crazy gangster? He said, I love seeing some of your responses. He said, you would tell some folk go to hell real quick. And I said, he had me cracking up. And I said, I don't want to have to go off on people. I said, but I do think it's important to let some folk know you do know what you say means it has no effect on you.
Well,
because
you're making smart sexy is what you're doing. You don't like. You discriminate against stupid and dumb people in ignorance. That's what you do.
I can't. I can't. I mean,
I'm working on it.
I can't. I mean, I can't. And I'm gonna try to talk to somebody. I'm gonna try, but
Get you in therapy.
but it's like, but if you can't keep sitting here, I'm like, and also I can't invest that level of time and energy because I know there's somebody out there who wants the same time and energy who's gonna take advantage of it.
Right.
And that's the thing. 'Cause I really don't get people who, there are people who come on my page, on my Black Star Network app, my YouTube channel, to whine and complain. And I said,
Because we don't have a therapist.
we alive 2 hours a day.
Right.
You literally take 2 hours of your day to come on the page
But it's
to complain.
It's public therapy. We never got a psychologist. We never got a shrink. We never had an apology after slavery. We never had a healing. There's 3 ways to live: suicide, coping, and healing. Healing's just hard. Love is work. You lived your whole life committed to truth, committed to healing, committed to hard work. I mean, you could have mailed this in. You could have sent a whole crew down here and let somebody else do it. You're sitting there trying not to yawn because you've been working all day for the last 3 days.
They've been going.
Because love is work, non-love is laziness, and anti-love is evil.
And the work ain't just been here; it's the other projects
Yeah.
and the other deal, which is why I tell these people, because I know you deal with it as well. They come up to you and I want to get what you got. But do you want to do?
Then work like I work.
Do you want to do?
Right.
And see, then we had that conversation with them.
They're like, oh, I got to.
Right, like I tell people like, oh my God, Pastor Jakes. I tell people all the time. I said, are you celebrating Bishop T.D. Jakes, Potter's House Bishop T.D. Jakes, or do you want to talk about Bishop T.D. Jakes when he was digging ditches in West Virginia?
And he's still working hard, by the way, every day.
But the thing though is, I said you cannot celebrate
Right.
Potter's House, Dallas, Texas Bishop T.D. Jakes if you do not acknowledge and deal with the digging ditches when his wife, when they were on welfare. I said, that's the same person.
That's right.
And that's the thing, man, that for me, what people, if they come to Hope and Performing, if they watch the videos, they need to also hear that, understand it, and not just go, ooh, I'm seeing success. No. I need to understand how that happens.
That's right. Only in the dictionary does the word success come before the word work, because it's alphabetical. Now, it goes back to what I said about healing, coping, and suicide. Love is work. Non-love is laziness. Anti-love is evil. Evil exists. It's very rare. Most people are just lazy, intellectually lazy, spiritually lazy, emotionally lazy, financially lazy. They don't want to do the work. That's not me casting aspersions. That's not me calling somebody a name. It's like me saying that there's a painting over there. Either you do the work or you don't. Either you're in the fight or you aren't. Either you're in it to win it or you're not. But you can't say, I want to be successful, and then you show up, then your motto in life is in late, long lunch, and leave early. That doesn't work. In late, long lunch, leave early doesn't work if you want to be successful.
We literally had a discussion, a fierce discussion backstage last night about the drama happening in Philadelphia with Ben Simmons. And so here's an individual who possesses the capacity to be great. The capacity to be great.
Yes.
But hasn't dealt with why you pass up a two-foot layup, why you won't take a three-point shot. And now he's sensitive, he's feeling because the 76ers have criticized him, his coaches criticized him. But it's like, but do you want to be great? Because if you want to be great, you got to sit there and there's some work you got to put in. And you can't ride this natural ability. No, you got to actually put in the work. And I think
You should go look at Michael Jordan's documentary.
Or-
how much work Michael Jordan put into the game and how much mental work. That was most mental work
right.
than it was physical.
But that was my whole point. My whole point there was, and that's where the mental piece comes in.
Yeah.
And so what I argue is that if we're having this conversation about entrepreneurship, what we're building, you have to confront, do you have the mental fortitude
Yes.
to say no,
Yep.
to say yes, to not beat yourself up,
Yep.
not think you're better than you really are.
Yep.
It's all here.
That's
And
right.
and that's where I go back to that reprogramming, as you say, that reboot, that software upgrade.
Yep.
Because if that doesn't happen,
Yep.
I love the sister from Edelman when she said, not we're going to be majority minority. She says we'll be the emerging. I love the emerging majority.
Majority, right.
That's the piece right there. That if we do not deal with that mindset, that brain power, that piece right there, we're going to be having the same why we haven't done this discussion in 2043, in 2063, in 2163. That has to happen.
This is why your first question was so important about what does all this matter, and my response about the young man who I eyeballed, and really the model for Operation Hope for 29 years now, which is there's a difference between being broke and being poor. Being broke is economic. We'll all be there at some point if you take a risk. But being poor is a disabling frame of mind, a depressed condition of your spirit. And you must vow never, ever, ever to be poor again. Whether you believe you can or whether you believe you can't, you're right. Success is going from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm. You and I take no for vitamins. I mean, if you're not resilient, you're going to get run over. You'll never make it because you've got to literally outrun failure. Like, none of this is easy, particularly if you're black, it's not easy.
So you talk, the thing about, we talk about the conference, well, the young brother came up to you, was a sister who came up to me here.
Yeah.
And she said, I saw you 3 or 4 years ago. Yeah. She said, I need you to understand that you said something to me that completely changed my life. And I was like, really? Don't recall.
Right. I've seen that happen with a number of people who come up to you, by the way.
And she said, I came up to you and she said, and I told you, I felt I wasn't worthy what I was doing. And you told me, who the hell told you you were not worthy?
That's right.
And she said, you spoke things into me. She says, she said, every day I'm hearing your voice.
Right.
And she was walking through this whole deal. Then she started telling me how all of these different business she started, this nonprofit she started, all the things that she's done. And that's also, to me, the value, because it's not always just going to an event and hearing the people on stage. It's also connecting with the other people who are there as well, who they might say something to you.
It's a new tribe. It's a new tribe. Look, I think it's very controversial, I guess, but I don't think so. I think that 50% of America and 70% of Black America is clinically undiagnosed depressed.
I agree.
And on the Black piece, even before 2020, before George Floyd, before all this, just with our history in this country, slavery, all that mental, psychological oppression. You and I aren't physically tired right now. We're just mentally and emotionally exhausted because we've been pouring out.
Right.
We've given gas but not fuel. So imagine getting beat up for 400 years and never being reaffirmed. You're not being told you're great. You're not being told that black is right. You're not being told that you can do anything. You're being told just the opposite. 5 pillars of success. Again, from my book, Up From Nothing. As much education you can shove down your throat. This is how you absolutely guarantee you do this. I guarantee you'll be successful. Guarantee you. You do 3 of what I'm about to say, you'll still succeed. You do 4 or 5, you'll kill it. So if you're a parent, watch this. If you're a student, do this. As much education you can shove down your throat. Understanding how financial literacy works, the math of the matter. How does the economy work? Economics, which is what we're teaching here at Operation Hope. 3, family structure and resiliency. 4, self-esteem and confidence. 5, role models and environment. What are you creating here? Enrolling Unfiltered, culture and environment. What did your parents give you? Confidence and self-esteem. Those 2 things are different.
Which is interesting.
Yep.
Because that was 2 of the things my parents didn't have.
That's right. Nor did my mother.
So I saw it.
Nor my mother.
I saw, there were opportunities that came their way.
Yeah.
That they passed.
Yeah.
Believe, not me. But again, what I saw was, I'm not going to do that. Because, to your point, emphasize education.
Yep.
made sure.
You hit all 5, Roland.
Right.
You hit all
So
5.
so even though
Education,
so
you
even though
understand the math,
right. So even though
family structure, resiliency,
they did not
they gave it to you.
grab that, I saw it and I was like, no, I'm not gonna do that. In fact, my dad introduced me. I spoke at a men's group at the church in Houston, and he introduced me and he said, you know, my son says he's gonna do something, he does it, and then he says, you know, I don't know where he got that from. I'm like, no, I got it from y'all.
Right.
So everything so people think that if something our parents didn't do, that's what we're gonna do as well. No. We can see it and say, no, I'm gonna do the opposite of that.
My mother wasn't told that she was loved by her mother. She was told just the opposite, you ain't nothing. She did spend every day of her life telling me that she loves me. Even though she didn't love herself because she wasn't told she was loved by her mother, she knew how important it was to reverse that cycle and pour that love into me. One of my number one traits in this world is my self-esteem. And confidence is
Right.
competence. So if you're competent at being a cameraman, you'll be confident about that. That doesn't mean you have high self-esteem. If you're confident about finance, you'll be competent about that, competent about that. That doesn't mean you have high self-esteem. Esteem is how you feel about yourself.
Right.
The thing that America took from us is how we feel about ourselves.
Which is why we
That's the
say
crab in the
stuff
barrel.
like, well, that is a black business. Well, you know how we are.
That's right.
All those different phrases.
That's right.
The
It's
conversation.
also where crab in the barrel came from.
Yeah, the conversation that you had to that point, the conversation, just share briefly the conversation that you did with Reggie Jackson, who, again, Reggie Jackson, so arrogant,
Yes.
so cocky,
Right.
and all of that, which I find to be very hilarious because Joe DiMaggio, until he died, required, whenever he was introduced, he required them to say, Joe DiMaggio, the greatest living Yankee.
So let's break that down.
With a bunch of
Let's
other
break that down.
greats living.
So when a white man walks into a room who's accomplished and who has confidence, we go, oh my God, they just believe in themselves. That's just, look at that belief, that confidence, that self-esteem, oh, look at that, it's great. When a black man walks into a room who's confident, look, he's cocky, he's arrogant, it's because we've never seen it before. It's because we don't recognize, it's like a Martian walking into a room. And so we attribute it to the
Oh, that was the first thing, because before you and I met, I edited a story. And folks, man, that damn John Hope Bryant, man, that's the one. Man, his cocky ass. So when someone says that, then when you read the story, then it's like, oh, well, he sounds, again, the perception that somebody places on you, as opposed to, no, that's a confident brother who know where he's going.
We just have never seen it before. We have these,
It scares us.
We have these examples of low self-esteem that's all around us, and then we have these, and then we jump and we didn't have the examples of we create celebrity in America to replace royalty in Europe. Celebrity is an American creation. So again, it replaced blue blood and royalty in Europe. That celebrity is an outsized sort of magical version of esteem, if you want to call it that. I won't call it self-esteem, but it's esteem. And it's magnifying so-called greatness, sort of sunglasses on at night sort of a thing. So either we're overcorrecting, trying to be something we're not, or we think we're not good enough. But here's my thing. I'm not better than you. I'm not worse than you. I am who I am.
Right.
I'm reasonably comfortable in my own skin. It's okay if you don't like me. I like me. What did Quincy Jones say? It's not one ounce of my self-esteem. It's dependent upon your acceptance of me.
Right.
That's what you said earlier. I don't need your acceptance. Imagine how freeing that is. Imagine how liberating that is when you're not reliant upon somebody else to say you're okay. So then we call that arrogant or cocky because we don't need to have our belief affirmed by the person we're talking to. No, we can disagree without being disagreeable. Look, you have a view, you believe in your view, God bless you. I hope that's working for you. I'm not going to sit here and argue with you about it.
Right.
To argue with a fool proves there are two. Not one ounce of my value depends on whatever's coming out of your mouth. God bless you. I'm going over here.
Right.
By the way, I encourage you not to stand in my way, because if I'm going over there, around it, over through it, I may go to it, through you.
Right.
I mean you no harm. But when I run you over, I told you I was coming. I encourage you to get out of the way. That's not cockiness. That's absolute dead-on belief. That's a dreamer with a shovel in their hands, and you need one on every block.
Most people have no clue that in 2023, the best way to make money on Amazon is not with physical products. It's Amazon's other company, Audible.
Black Star Network is here.
No punch!
A real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? As you were talking, I thought about the difference between when we put something on and we
Put something in.
and we go, yeah, that look good.
Yeah.
So when you walk out that door, you walk out because you like, I know I'm looking good. You walk out, but then you take the person, whether it's a woman who thinks that her dress or skirt is too short,
Yeah.
or the brother who says my jacket is too tight. What's happening is she's constantly pulling down,
Right.
or the brother's constantly, changing because you're not confident in how you look.
By the way, why did you wear that skirt that didn't come over your hip if you didn't think men were going to be looking at it? And if you're going to wear that, wear it.
Right, but see,
Whatever you're gonna do,
right. But here's
like-
but here's what happens. Again, what that says is you put it on.
for others.
You had doubts when you put it on.
Right. And you need to be affirmed.
You walked out, and so what happens? Is this too short?
Right.
Or,
Right.
hey, bro, is this jacket too tight? And I go, don't walk out the house. If that doubt comes into your mind, go change clothes.
That's right.
And so I applied that. So as you were talking about confidence and esteem, that's the thing that people don't get. We walked out of the house going,
Believe it.
my stuff fit, it
I'm
looks
good.
good, I don't care.
I'm enough all by myself.
I'm about to rock this, and they looking like, how the hell you think you sitting here and you like I joked with you earlier when I said, and it's true, I can't wear tennis shoes with suits.
Right.
My brain Russell Simmons has done that. I was with Glenn Turman. I cannot. You like, I'm comfortable, I'm good. And here's the deal. If you're working it and rocking it, great. If I choose to wear some dress shoes, great. We still got to walk to the same place.
And what's this called? What is this properly called that you're wearing right now? What's the name
Some
of it?
called dashiki.
Okay, so I
just call it African attire.
So I can't wear African attire every day. I've got some beautiful African daishikis. I've got some beautiful stuff from India. I wear them on special occasions. You wear it every day. I don't use the word can't be impossible, but I can't get myself to wear it every day. It's not my style. But I can wear, it is my style, to wear tennis shoes with suits. And because I believe that, I'm comfortable with that, it comes off well.
There you go.
And because you're comfortable with this, it comes off
There
well.
you-
And so whatever suit you put on, and hopefully it's a suit of your self-love every day, that's the suit you got to wear with absolute comfort, not with arrogance, because all really arrogance is actually insecurity.
Right.
When you're screaming and hollering at people, that's insecurity. When you're angry, what that's really underneath that is you're really saying, I'm hurt. Anger is nothing more than a cover for your emotions. You're not able to deal with the fact that I was hurt, I was offended, you didn't esteem me. So let's deal with what's underneath it, because then you're really comfortable in your own skin. The reason that people trust you so much is because you're authentic, Roland. You people know it's not a game. They may like you, they may not like you. It's irrelevant. I tell people, I'd rather you respect me and learn to like me than like me and never respect me. It doesn't mean I don't want to be liked. I'd love to be liked, but it doesn't make or take from my day, because I understand I'm doing something that nobody really understands. When I started this 25 years ago, and Roland, you know this, I remember walking up to the White House and saying, I'm John Hope Bryant.
No.
I said, I know who
you keep saying it's the White House. No, it was the airport. It was LAX.
All right.
We were at baggage claim, and you said, "Hey, I'm John Hope Bryant." I was like, I know who you are. I was like, I said, I know. And you like, huh? I was like, yeah.
But the reason I said that was that I wasn't questioning myself. No one gave me share of mine back then. It doesn't surprise me now that you were paying attention to that, because you're a smart guy and you're looking around the corner for the future. But please read my book, Up From Nothing, if you're interested in this story and you want to know how to come up from nothing. That story's not about my successes. It's about my failures. It's about 30 years of people looking at me and doing this. Oh, financial literacy. Oh, capitalism. Oh, free enterprise. I'm so tired of this guy. Oh, is he coming against this again? Oh, do I have to hear this speech again? Oh, I'm so tired. Now nobody's saying it. Now people, can I get that? How do you get that contract? Hey, John, can you introduce me to this person? Hey, John, can you come meet with me? Whoa, slow down, Turbo.
Right.
Slow down. You dissed me 30 years ago.
Right.
Now you're my friend.
I
don't make you pay a penalty for it. But it's not like it's not like I've forgotten. Right. So the world caught up to me. I haven't changed.
Well, see that's what the reason I'm cracking up with that. It's like COVID hit us, and all of a sudden my phone is blowing up. Hey man, I need a home studio, what camera to buy, what lights to get, all this sort of stuff, and it's like, oh, like I've been trying to tell y'all this for the longest.
Right.
And then people like, man, you on top of this thing long before anybody else. And it was like, yes. And to your point, was what someone told me, I met one of your middle school teachers who said, you ain't changed. And I went, thank you.
I'm consistent.
And they thought I was being, you just been. I said, no. I said, somebody said, no, we should all change. I said, no, see.
We should grow.
I said, what you don't understand is the focus that I had to be the best communications high school student at my high school.
Yes.
Applied to Texas A&M.
Yes.
Applied when I got out.
Yes.
I said, that's what you don't understand.
Right. That's right.
And that's the thing.
Right.
And so I think people.
And your character should never change. Who you are as a person should never change. That should be your fingerprint for life. People need to know.
It's a foundational issue.
Absolutely.
And I think that's where. So I think we're in this point now, because you said something earlier when you talked about, which is why I've been using consistently the hashtag Black Economic Social Justice.
Yeah.
Is that, and what I've said is
social justice through an economic lens.
I said,
third Reconstruction.
I said they ain't got a problem. I said they really don't have a problem with us protesting against mass incarceration, protesting for criminal justice reform, protesting to end voter suppression. I said, but it was Coretta Scott King said, they killed my Martin
over money
when he started talking about the money.
Right.
And that, when you start talking about the money, that's a whole different conversation. And I dare say, every other societal ill that we can lay out that affects black people, I said, if we don't deal with the money,
you'll never solve
you cannot confront any of those.
Let me tell you the story of our beautiful town. There was country music all around. Back in the day, things used to always happen a certain way, and boy, oh boy, it was a nightmare.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
A lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
The greatest compliment, well, one of the greatest compliments that I think I've ever received was by accident. Bernice A. King, Dr. King, Prescott King's daughter, wrote in an email introducing me to someone else. John Hope Bryant and Operation Hope are creating an economic infrastructure for Black America. It touched my heart. I'm like, after all those years of being dissed and dismissed and discounted, here is the heir apparent to the legacy of the one that we all admire, who took the time in the mental space, the mind space, to understand what this guy was doing, who some might say is competing with the legacy of her father. Some insecure people might say, he's trying to ride the coattails of your father. She said, no, he's extending the legacy
Right, it's
of
the
my
continuation.
father. He's continuing the work of my father. He's protecting the legacy of my father. He's trying to pay off what my dad set up.
In fact, I would say, I did not realize this until I was doing my research. First of all, his book, Chaos or Community, Where Do We Go From Here?
Where do we go from here? Yeah.
Which is, I did not realize that book was not published for 10 years after his death.
Really? Chaos or Community?
It was not published.
Wow.
So I sat there and I went, damn.
Yeah.
I said, imagine if that book was.
Yeah, I'll have to reread it.
So here you had 10 years of folk
wilderness period
not being able, and it was written in '68. Last book, worst selling book. But the thing that as it hit me, and I thought about the Gary Convention, the Black Political Convention in Gary, Indiana, in 1972, where the decision was made: our future's in politics.
Wow.
And I've talked to many who were there who said that was a mistake that we made.
Ambassador Young said last night at dinner, he said, we might have taken political power or politics as far as we can take it.
Yes.
And we now need to shift to economics.
So imagine had they picked that mantle of king up after '68.
Yes.
Because remember, Nixon wins, Arthur Fletcher comes in, put affirmative action
Nixon
in place.
created affirmative action, which is
but the roots of it actually was when LBJ gave a speech at Howard University, where he used the phrase "take affirmative action."
Okay, LBJ did.
LBJ did, and then Nixon wins. Arthur Fletcher puts it in, but then it was this whole piece, and so then you had Black politics, but what most people remember about the Black politics of Hatcher, Coleman Young, Marion Barry, Maynard Jackson was the economic piece. And I keep saying, y'all, that was the brilliance of them. But when you got to the 80s and then 90s, you had Black politicians that wasn't the primary focus. And so where we are now.
Well, let's go back to the March on Washington, though. March on Washington was a march for jobs and freedom. Jobs and freedom. And the March on Washington.
Initially, it was a march on Washington for jobs for civil rights.
Yeah, well, let's go back even further.
Then
though.
they had
A. Philip Randolph. The credit is given to the civil rights leaders of the 60s for that, but really A. Philip Randolph threatened that march from 1945 forward, and because he threatened it and did it in a way that was elegant, he got the president of the United States then to integrate the military, which is where the Black middle class came from.
Right.
You couldn't have doctors and lawyers and bankers, business people, in the professions in the mainstream because white people didn't want you working on them. But those professions came from the military, and when we graduated from the military, which was integrated thanks to A. Philip Randolph, we were able to go off into the mainstream of the 60s and create the Second Reconstruction, this getting this getting group that I mentioned earlier, the middle class getting a job, getting access, people who cash checks. And now, Roland, we need to have folks in the third Reconstruction who write checks.
And so I want to pick up on that. The last part of our conversation, the third Reconstruction. Reverend Dr. William Barber, Poor People's Campaign.
Brilliant guy.
His book, Third Reconstruction.
I'm talking about something different, but a
Right.
brilliant guy.
But actually, you're talking about the same thing.
Okay.
Because in my conversation with both of you, here he's picking up so you picked up. So let me say it this way. Let me properly set the table. Reverend Leon Sullivan introduces the Operation Breadbasket to Dr. King.
Right.
King says, Reverend, come down to Atlanta, present to the SCLC. He does. He said, we're going to adopt this. We're going to name it Operation Breadbasket.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yes, came
Dr.
from
King
Leon
invited.
Sullivan.
I know it came from Leon Sullivan. I know Dr.
He
King
invited them
him.
to present to the SCLC. They adopted it. They named it Operation Breadbasket because the first companies they went after were bread companies.
Wow.
So Martin Depp's book on Operation Breadbasket, so that's 66 to 71, what they created and how they impacted.
And Leon Sullivan was the first black man on the corporate board of directors also. And then
So he was doing this in Philly.
Right.
Brought it
He
to
owns
King.
real estate to this day in Philly.
Brought it to King.
A shopping mall.
They created Operation Breadbasket in Chicago. King wanted to create breadbasket chapters that were separate from SCLC.
Okay.
All across the country, he gets killed.
Right.
So they achieved that. So here you had the breadbasket piece. So when Bernice King says that you're picking that piece up, which is you're dealing, that was directly going after companies where they were saying we want blacks in senior positions, blacks being hired. Part of the conditions were black companies being hired to do what now not called minority supply development, and part of the deal was you had to deposit money in black banks.
Right.
So that was the whole breadbasket piece.
Which is what's going on in the
Right.
forum, by the way.
Okay, so you had that piece. So that's what breadbasket was.
Right.
King was planning the Poor People's Campaign.
Right.
Okay.
Which was it's whispered in his ear by Marion Wright Edelman.
What did King also do? King mandated that it had to be biracial. He said no.
That's right.
So when they had that first meeting, there were white folks from Kentucky, other places.
More poor whites in America than poor anybody else.
Right.
Day and today.
So Barber picks up the Poor People Campaign part.
Gotcha.
So you're not actually doing anything different. You're actually taking up both pieces of MLK. They were simply talking to two different audiences. One was poor people and driven. Right. One was the corporate aspect.
Right.
So right now,
more civil rights in the streets. I'm in civil rights in the suites.
There you go.
Yeah.
But and King was doing both.
Right.
And that's what, because in fact, what was interesting is his folks in SCLC were like, hold up, why we have these separate chapters? Because he understood that the suites people can't do the same thing as the streets because it's too different.